The spaceship descended through thick layers of mist, its engines straining against the dense atmosphere of Zorathia. The planet below was a swirling mass of green and gold, its surface obscured by an impenetrable canopy of trees that stretched as far as the eye could see. Alex Carter gripped the controls tightly, his knuckles white from the tension. Beside him, Emily Dawson leaned forward, her face pressed against the viewport as she took in the alien world beneath them. "It's beautiful," Emily murmured, her voice tinged with awe. "But it feels wrong somehow." Alex nodded without looking at her. He had read the reports everyone on the team had, but nothing could have prepared them for this. Zorathia wasn't just another unexplored planet. It was a graveyard. Countless species had come here before, some more advanced than humanity, and none had survived longer than a week. The jungle seemed alive, almost predatory, devouring everything that dared to enter it. Behind them, Ryan Bennett sat hunched over his tablet, scrolling through endless streams of data, his brow furrowed as he muttered under his breath about signal interference and magnetic anomalies. Across the cabin, Mia Lewis double-checked the medical supplies, organizing bandages and vials of medicine with quiet precision. She didn't say much, but her steady hand spoke volumes about her confidence in their mission. As the ship broke through the final layer of clouds, the jungle revealed itself in all its chaotic glory. Towering trees loomed like ancient sentinels, their trunks gnarled and twisted into impossible shapes. Vines hung like curtains between branches, swaying gently despite the lack of wind. Strange flowers bloomed everywhere, their petals glowing, faintly in hues of blue and purple. It was breathtaking and unnerving. "All right, team," Alex said, breaking the silence. "We're landing in 5 minutes. Gear up and stay sharp. This place doesn't look friendly, and we don't know what's waiting for us down there." Emily adjusted the straps on her backpack, her mind racing with excitement and fear. She had spent years studying alien ecosystems, but this was different. Everything about Zorathia screamed danger, from the eerie stillness of the air to the way the light filtered through the leaves in unnatural patterns. Yet she couldn't help feeling drawn to it like a moth to a flame. Ryan glanced up from his tablet, his expression skeptical. "You really think we can survive here? I mean, seriously? No one else has lasted more than a few days. What makes you think we're special?" Alex turned to face him, his tone firm but calm. "Because we're adaptable. Humans have always found ways to survive where others fail. We'll be fine as long as we stick together and follow the plan." Mia chimed in softly, her voice soothing yet authoritative. "And we have each other. That counts for something." The ship touched down with a soft thud, sending a cloud of dust swirling around the landing site. The team exchanged nervous glances before suiting up and stepping onto the surface of Zorathia. The air smelled sweet, almost cloying, with a metallic undertone that made Ryan wrinkle his nose in disgust. The ground beneath their boots was spongy, covered in a thick layer of moss that squished with every step. "This is going to be fun," Ryan muttered sarcastically, adjusting the strap of his rifle. "Stay focused," Alex reminded him, scanning the area with sharp eyes. "Let's get the camp set up before nightfall. We don't want to be caught out here when it gets dark." They worked quickly, assembling tents and activating perimeter sensors designed to detect movement. Emily wandered a short distance away, marveling at the strange plants surrounding them. Some were tall and spindly, their stems covered in tiny, shimmering hairs. Others lay low to the ground, their broad leaves pulsing faintly with an inner glow. She bent down to examine one, brushing her fingers lightly against its surface. To her surprise, the plant recoiled, curling inward like a frightened animal. "Did you see that?" she called out, turning back toward the group. "These things are alive. They react to touch." Ryan raised an eyebrow. "Great. So now we've got killer plants to worry about too?" Alex ignored him, walking over to join Emily. "Careful," he warned. "We don't know what these things are capable of. Don't provoke them." As the sun began to dip below the horizon, casting long shadows across the jungle floor, the team gathered around a small fire they had managed to start. The flames flickered weakly, struggling to burn in the damp air. Ryan poked at it absent-mindedly, with a stick while Mia handed out ration packs. So what's the plan tomorrow? Ryan asked, breaking the silence. We explore. Alex replied simply. We need to gather samples, map the area, and figure out what kind of threats we're dealing with. But for tonight, we stay put and keep our guard up. No one argued. As darkness fell, the jungle came alive with sounds. Chirps, growls, and rustling noises that seemed to come from every direction. Glowing eyes appeared in the shadows, watching them intently. The team huddled closer together, their unease growing with each passing moment. At one point, a loud screech echoed through the trees, making everyone jump. Ryan instinctively reached for his rifle, but Alex stopped him with a hand on his shoulder. Don't, Alex whispered. We don't want to attract attention. The screech faded into the distance, leaving behind an oppressive silence. Emily hugged her knees to her chest, trying to shake off the feeling of being watched. Even Mia, usually so composed, looked uneasy. Finally, Alex spoke, his voice low but steady. Listen, I know this place is scary, but we're not alone. We've got each other and we've got our training. If we stick to the plan and stay smart, we'll make it through this. His words did little to ease their nerves, but they nodded anyway. One by one, they retreated to their tents, leaving only Alex to keep watch. He sat by the dying embers of the fire, his rifle resting across his lap. Above him, the stars were invisible, swallowed by the dense canopy. For the first time in his life, Alex felt truly isolated, not just from civilization, but from any sense of safety or certainty. Hours passed, and the jungle remained eerily quiet. Just as Alex began to relax, a faint rustling sound caught his attention. He turned slowly, his heart pounding in his chest. Something was moving in the bushes, its shape indistinct in the dim light. Alex tightened his grip on the rifle, his finger hovering over the trigger. Then, without warning, the creature lunged. The creature lunged out of the darkness, its body a blur of sharp edges and glowing eyes. Alex reacted instinctively, firing a warning shot into the air. The loud crack of the rifle echoed through the jungle, startling the creature and sending it retreating back into the shadows. For a moment, there was silence, broken only by the sound of Alex's rapid breathing. Inside the tents, the rest of the team stirred awake, startled by the noise. Emily crawled out first, her hair disheveled and her face pale with fear. "What was that?" she whispered, clutching the edge of her jacket tightly. "I don't know," Alex admitted, his voice low but steady. "But it's gone now." Ryan emerged next, already holding his rifle at the ready. "Great, just what we needed, a midnight visitor." His tone was sarcastic, but there was no mistaking the tension in his voice. Mia followed, her medical kit slung over her shoulder. She scanned the area carefully, her trained eyes searching for any sign of danger. "Is everyone okay?" she asked, her voice calm despite the chaos. Alex nodded. "For now. But we need to stay alert. Whatever that thing was, it might come back." The team gathered around the remnants of their fire, which had nearly burned out during the commotion. Ryan quickly added more fuel, coaxing the flames back to life. The light illuminated their faces, revealing a mix of exhaustion and unease. "We should take shifts keeping watch," Alex suggested. 2 hours each. That way no one has to stay up all night. No one argued. They were too shaken to protest, and the thought of sleeping while something unknown lurked nearby was unbearable. Ryan volunteered to take the first shift, claiming he wasn't tired anyway. Alex didn't believe him. He could see the dark circles under Ryan's eyes, but he didn't press the issue. As the others returned to their tents, Alex lingered for a moment, staring into the fire. He couldn't shake the image of those glowing eyes from his mind. Whatever had attacked them wasn't just an animal. It was intelligent. It had waited until they were vulnerable, striking when they least expected it. And if it came back, he shook his head, forcing himself to focus. Worrying wouldn't help. What mattered now was staying alive. The next morning, the jungle greeted them with an eerie stillness. The air was heavy with humidity, and the ground was slick with dew. Emily was the first to step outside, her boots sinking slightly into the mossy earth. She carried a small satchel slung over her shoulder, ready to collect samples of the strange plants that surrounded them. "These are incredible," she said, crouching down to examine a cluster of bioluminescent flowers. Their petals pulsed faintly, casting a soft glow on her hands as she touched them. "I've never seen anything like this before." "Careful," Alex warned, standing a few feet away with his rifle slung across his chest. "We don't know if they're dangerous." Emily nodded but didn't stop her work. She carefully plucked one of the flowers and placed it in a sealed container. "If we can figure out how these things survive here, maybe we can learn something about the ecosystem." Ryan joined them shortly after, yawning loudly as he stretched his arms above his head. "Any news on our nocturnal friend?" he asked, glancing nervously at the trees around them. "Nothing yet," Alex replied. "But keep your guard up. We don't know when, or if, it'll be back." Mia emerged last carrying a med kit and a water bottle. She handed the bottle to Emily, who accepted it gratefully. "Stay hydrated," Mia reminded her. "This heat will drain you faster than you think." As the morning wore on, the team split, up to tackle different tasks. Alex and Ryan worked on reinforcing the perimeter sensors, adding extra layers of protection to their makeshift camp. Meanwhile, Emily wandered a short distance away, collecting samples of plants and soil. Mia stayed behind to organize their supplies and tend to minor injuries sustained during the night's scare. It was during one of Emily's excursions that she stumbled upon something unusual, a trail of claw marks gouged deep into the bark of a tree. They were fresh, the edges still oozing sap that smelled faintly metallic. Her heart raced as she traced the marks with her fingers, realizing they were far too large to belong to any ordinary animal. "Guys," she called out, her voice trembling slightly. "You need to see this." Alex and Ryan hurried over, their expressions grim as they examined the damage. "Whatever made these isn't small," Alex observed, running his hand along the grooves. "And it's strong." Ryan frowned, gripping his rifle tighter. "So much for a peaceful camping trip." Before anyone could respond, a sudden movement in the bushes caught their attention. All four of them froze, their eyes locked on the source of the disturbance. Slowly, a massive insectoid creature emerged, its body covered in chitinous armor and its mandibles clicking menacingly. Its multifaceted eyes glinted in the sunlight, reflecting a predatory intelligence. "Don't move," Alex whispered, raising his rifle slowly. "Let's not provoke it." But the creature had other plans. With a deafening screech, it charged forward, its legs moving so fast they seemed to blur. The team scrambled backward, barely avoiding its snapping jaws. Ryan fired a shot, the bullet ricocheting harmlessly off its armored shell. "It's not working," Ryan shouted, panic creeping into his voice. "Fall back to the camp," Alex ordered, grabbing Emily's arm and pulling her toward safety. They ran as fast as they could, their boots slipping on the wet ground. Behind them, the creature pursued relentlessly, smashing through trees and underbrush with ease. By the time they reached the camp, Mia was already waiting, her own rifle raised and ready. "Get inside the tents," she yelled, firing a burst of shots to distract the creature. The team obeyed, diving into their shelters just as the beast reached the edge of the clearing. It hesitated for a moment, seemingly confused by the sudden lack of targets. Then, with a final screech, it turned and disappeared back into the jungle, leaving behind a scene of chaos. Breathing heavily, the team emerged from their tents, their faces pale with shock. The camp was in disarray, tents torn, equipment scattered, and the fire extinguished by the creature's rampage. "Well," Ryan said dryly, brushing dirt off his jacket, "that could have gone better." Alex ignored him, focusing instead on assessing the damage. "We need to fortify this place," he said firmly. "If that thing comes back, we won't get lucky twice." Emily nodded, her earlier excitement replaced by determination. "I'll gather materials to patch up the tents. We can't afford to lose shelter." Mia began organizing their remaining supplies, checking for anything damaged or missing. "We're going to need more food and water soon," she warned. "That attack destroyed half our rations." Ryan sighed, shaking his head. "This planet is insane. How are we supposed to survive here?" Alex met his gaze, his expression resolute. "One step at a time." We adapt, we fight, and we survive. That's what humans do. Despite the uncertainty hanging over them, the team set to work repairing the camp. They reinforced the tents with fallen branches and vines, creating barriers to slow down future attackers. Emily used her knowledge of the local flora to identify plants that could be used as natural repellents, hoping to deter smaller creatures from entering their space. By nightfall, the camp looked almost as good as new. Exhausted but determined, the team gathered around a newly lit fire, their faces illuminated by its flickering light. "We made it through today," Alex said, breaking the silence. "That's something," Emily smiled weakly. "Yeah, but tomorrow, we'll need to be smarter, stronger." Mia nodded in agreement. "We'll figure it out, together." Ryan leaned back against a log, his rifle resting across his lap. "Let's just hope whatever's out there gives us a break tonight." No one answered. They all knew the jungle wouldn't grant them mercy. Not tonight, not ever. But as they sat together under the alien sky, they found comfort in one another's presence. They were scared, yes, but they were also alive. And as long as they had each other, they stood a fighting chance. The fire burned low, casting long shadows across the camp. In the distance, the jungle whispered its secrets, promising both wonder and peril. The team listened silently, knowing their journey was only beginning. The days that followed were a blur of hard work and constant vigilance. The jungle seemed to test them at every turn, throwing new challenges their way as if determined to break their spirits. But the team refused to give up. They had survived the first attack, and they would survive whatever came next. Each morning began with a routine. Alex led the group in, checking the perimeter sensors, ensuring they were still functional after the previous night's chaos. Emily ventured out to gather more samples, her curiosity undiminished despite the dangers. Ryan tinkered with their equipment, finding ways to make it more durable against the harsh environment. And Mia tended to everyone's needs, keeping them healthy and focused. One day, while exploring a patch of dense undergrowth, Emily stumbled upon something promising, a cluster of fruit-like pods hanging from a low-hanging branch. The pods were plump and brightly colored, their skin smooth and glossy. She hesitated for a moment, remembering the stories about toxic plants on Zarathia, but her hunger outweighed her caution. "Guys!" she called out, waving the others over. "Look at this." Alex approached cautiously, inspecting the pods carefully. "Are you sure they're safe?" he asked, his voice tinged with doubt. "I think so," Emily replied, pointing to small bite marks on one of the pods. "Something has been eating these. If it's edible for local creatures, maybe it's okay for us too." Mia stepped forward, examining the pods closely. "We should test them first," she suggested. "Just in case. Using a portable analyzer." From their supplies, Emily ran a quick scan. The results confirmed the pods were non-toxic and rich in nutrients. With relief washing over her face, she handed one to each member of the team. The taste was sweet yet tangy, unlike anything they had ever eaten before. For the first time since arriving, their stomachs felt full. "That's one problem solved," Ryan said, tossing the empty pod aside. "Now we just need to figure out how to stop getting attacked every other night." Alex nodded thoughtfully. "We've been reactive so far. It's time we start being proactive." Over the next few days, the team worked together to devise strategies for surviving the jungle. They built traps using fallen branches and vines, baiting them with pieces of the edible pods to lure smaller creatures away from their camp. Ryan modified their rifles to fire tranquilizer darts instead of bullets, hoping to incapacitate rather than kill potential threats. Emily used her knowledge of the plants to create natural deterrents, spreading crushed leaves around the perimeter to mask their scent. Their efforts paid off. The attacks became less frequent, though never entirely absent. One night, a pack of small rodent-like creatures tried to sneak into the camp, only to be caught in the traps. Another evening, a larger predator circled the edges of their territory, but retreated after encountering the strong odor of the crushed leaves. Despite these small victories, tensions within the group began to rise. Ryan grew increasingly restless, his frustration boiling over during meals and discussions. "This isn't working," he snapped one afternoon, pacing back and forth. We're just delaying the inevitable. Sooner or later, something bigger is going to come for us, and we won't stand a chance. Alex met his gaze, his expression calm but firm. We've made progress, Ryan. We're learning how to adapt, that's what matters. Ryan shook his head, his voice rising. Adapt? To what? A death trap? I didn't sign up for this? Emily placed a hand on his arm, trying to calm him down. None of us did, but panicking won't help. We have to keep going. For a moment it looked like Ryan might argue further, but he clenched his fists and turned away, muttering under his breath. The tension lingered, casting a shadow over the rest of the day. That night, as the team gathered around the fire, Mia spoke softly, breaking the uneasy silence. We're all scared, she admitted, her eyes scanning the faces of her companions. But fear doesn't have to divide us. It can bring us closer, if we let it. Alex nodded, adding, She's right. We're stronger together. If we start doubting each other, we're finished. Ryan didn't respond, but his shoulders relaxed slightly, and he stopped pacing. The conversation shifted to lighter topics, memories of home, favorite foods, and dreams for the future. For a brief moment, the jungle faded into the background, replaced by the warmth of shared humanity. The turning point came unexpectedly. While collecting water from a nearby stream, Emily noticed something strange, a pattern in the movements of the animals around her. Birds flew in specific formations, insects swarmed in predictable cycles, and even the plants seemed to respond to subtle changes in the air. At first, she dismissed it as coincidence, but the more she observed, the clearer the pattern became. Excited, she rushed back to the camp to share her discovery with the others. It's like the jungle is alive, she explained, gesturing animatedly. Not just individual creatures, but the whole thing. Everything reacts to everything else. Alex listened intently, his brow furrowed in thought. You're saying the ecosystem works as a single unit? Exactly, Emily replied. If we can understand the patterns, maybe we can predict what's coming next. Ryan crossed his arms skeptically. Predicting isn't surviving. Even if we know what's coming, how does that help us fight it? It gives us an edge, Alex countered. Knowing is half the battle. Inspired by Emily's observations, the team began studying the jungle more closely. They tracked animal movements, recorded weather patterns, and documented how different plants reacted to stimuli. Slowly but surely, they pieced together a rudimentary understanding of the jungle's rhythms. One evening, as they reviewed their findings, Mia pointed out something intriguing. Look at this, she said, holding up her notebook. Every time there's an acid rainstorm, the predators retreat deeper into the jungle. It's like they're avoiding something. Or hiding from something, Alex added, his mind racing with possibilities. If we can use the storms to our advantage, we might be able to explore areas we couldn't reach before. The next storm hit 2 days later, drenching the jungle in a torrent of corrosive rain. The team huddled inside their tents, listening to the hiss of droplets eating away at the foliage outside. When the storm finally passed, they emerged to find the jungle eerily quiet, the usual cacophony of sounds replaced by an almost unnatural stillness. Taking advantage of the lull, they ventured deeper into the jungle than ever before. The terrain became rougher, the trees taller and more twisted. Strange structures began to appear, stone ruins partially swallowed by vines and moss. The sight sent a shiver down their spines. What is this place? Ryan whispered, his voice filled with awe. Emily stepped forward, brushing away layers of grime to reveal intricate carvings on the surface of a crumbling wall. It looks like some kind of settlement, she murmured. Maybe whoever lived here knew how to survive. As they explored further, they discovered murals depicting ancient beings who once thrived on Zarathia. The artwork showed scenes of harmony between the inhabitants and the jungle, followed by images of destruction and despair. The final panel depicted a massive tree-like structure glowing with energy, surrounded by swirling patterns of light. This must be the heart of the jungle, Alex said, studying the mural carefully. Whatever controls this planet, it's connected to that. Before anyone could respond, a rustling sound drew their attention. Turning slowly, they saw a humanoid figure emerge from the shadows. Startled, the team instinctively reached for their weapons, but the figure raised its hands in a gesture of peace. "Do not fear," the figure said in broken English. "I mean no harm." Alex lowered his rifle slightly, his voice cautious. "Who are you?" "My name is Kale," the figure replied. "My people live here, hidden from the jungle's wrath. We watch and learn." The team exchanged glances, unsure whether to trust this stranger. But something in Kale's calm demeanor reassured them. He offered to guide them, sharing knowledge, passed down through generations about how to coexist with the jungle. Under Kale's guidance, the team learned to read the signs of the environment, the subtle shifts in wind direction, the behavior of certain creatures, and the timing of natural phenomena. They discovered that the jungle wasn't merely hostile, it was intelligent, capable of adapting to any threat. With renewed hope, the team returned to their camp, their minds buzzing with possibilities. They had faced countless dangers and overcome unimaginable odds. But now they understood the true challenge of Zerathia. It wasn't about conquering the jungle, but learning to live alongside it. As they sat together that night, watching the stars peek faintly through the canopy, Alex spoke softly. "We're not just surviving anymore, we're thriving, and that's something no other species has done here." His words hung in the air, a testament to their resilience and ingenuity. For the first time since arriving, they allowed themselves to believe that survival wasn't just possible, it was inevitable. The days that followed Kyle's arrival marked a turning point for the team. With his guidance, they began to see Zerathia not as an enemy, but as a complex puzzle waiting to be solved. Kyle was patient, explaining everything in simple terms and showing them how to interpret the jungle's subtle cues. His presence brought a sense of calm to the group, though Ryan still eyed him with suspicion. "Are we sure we can trust him?" Ryan muttered one evening as they sat around the fire. "He just appeared out of nowhere. What if this is some kind of trick?" Alex glanced at Kale, who stood nearby, examining a glowing flower. Lowering his voice, Alex replied, "We don't have much choice. He's helping us, and so far he hasn't given us any reason to doubt him." Ryan frowned but didn't argue further. Instead, he turned his attention to sharpening his knife, a habit he had developed whenever he felt uneasy. Despite his doubts, even Ryan couldn't deny that Kale's knowledge was invaluable. Under his tutelage, the team learned to navigate the jungle more safely, avoiding areas where predators were most active and identifying edible plants without risking poisoning. Kyle also taught them how to communicate with certain creatures. At first, the idea seemed absurd. How could humans talk to animals? But Kale demonstrated by mimicking the calls of a bird-like creature perched high in a tree. To everyone's astonishment, the bird responded, swooping down to land near Kale. It didn't attack or flee. Instead, it allowed him to gently stroke its feathers before flying away. "That's incredible," Emily whispered, her eyes wide with wonder. "How did you do that?" "It is not about words," Kyle explained. "It is about understanding. The jungle speaks in patterns, in movements, in sounds. You must listen." Emily nodded eagerly, determined to learn this skill. Over the next few days, she practiced mimicking the calls of various creatures, often failing but occasionally succeeding. Each success filled her with a sense of accomplishment, as if she were unlocking a secret language spoken only by the jungle. Despite their progress, the jungle remained unpredictable. One afternoon, while exploring a dense thicket, the team encountered a massive carnivorous plant. Its tendrils writhed like snakes, and its maw gaped open, revealing rows of needle-sharp teeth. The plant lunged at them, forcing the group to scatter. "Stay back," Alex shouted, raising his rifle. But before he could fire, Kale stepped forward, holding up a small object, a smooth stone etched with strange symbols. He waved it slowly in front of the plant, murmuring softly under his breath. To everyone's amazement, the plant froze, its tendrils retreating into its body as it sank back into the ground. "What What just happened? Ryan stammered, lowering his weapon. Cale turned to face them, his expression serious. This stone carries the mark of my people. It tells the jungle we mean no harm. But such tools are rare and their power fades over time. Alex studied the stone closely, marveling at its intricate design. Can you teach us how to make these? Kyle shook his head. No, only those born to my tribe can craft them. But I can show you other ways to protect yourselves. With Cale's help, the team constructed makeshift talismans using materials found in the jungle. While not as powerful as Cale's stone, these objects served as crude deterrents against smaller threats. They also reinforced their traps and improved their shelters, ensuring they were better prepared for whatever might come next. As the days passed, the team grew closer, their bond strengthened by shared experiences and mutual reliance. Even Ryan began to soften, his initial skepticism giving way to grudging respect for Cale. During one quiet evening, as they sat around the fire sharing stories, Ryan surprised everyone by speaking openly about his fears. I guess I've always been afraid of failing, he admitted, staring into the flames. Afraid of letting people down. Coming here, it made me realize how fragile everything is. How fragile we are. No one interrupted him. They simply listened, offering silent support. When he finished, Mia placed a hand on his shoulder, her touch gentle yet reassuring. You're doing great, Ryan. We all are. We're figuring this out together. Her words seemed to ease some of the tension in Ryan's shoulders. For the first time since arriving on Zarathia, he smiled. A small, hesitant smile, but a smile nonetheless. Cale continued to guide them deeper into the jungle, leading them toward the mysterious tree-like structure depicted in the ancient murals. Along the way, they faced numerous challenges, swarms of venomous insects, treacherous terrain, and sudden storms that forced them to take shelter beneath thick canopies. Each obstacle tested their resolve, but they persevered, driven by a growing sense of purpose. One night, as they camped near a bubbling stream, Cale shared more about his people. Long ago, many tribes lived here, he said, his voice low and measured. They sought to control the jungle, to bend it to their will. But the jungle fought back, consuming them until none remained. My ancestors learned differently. They chose harmony over domination. That is why we survive. Emily leaned forward, her curiosity piqued. Do you think others could learn to live like you do? Like us, for example? Cale hesitated before answering. Perhaps, but it requires sacrifice. You must give up your need to conquer. To truly belong here, you must become part of the jungle, not apart from it. His words lingered in the air, heavy with meaning. The team exchanged thoughtful glances, each silently considering what it would take to adapt fully to this alien world. Finally, after days of travel, they reached their destination, the colossal tree-like structure at the heart of the jungle. It towered above them, its trunk pulsating with a soft golden light. Vines wrapped around its base like roots, and strange symbols glowed faintly along its surface. The air hummed with energy, vibrating in their chests and making their skin tingle. This is it, Cale said, his voice filled with reverence. The source of the jungle's intelligence. Here lies the key to coexistence or destruction. Alex stepped forward, his expression resolute. What do we need to do? Cale met his gaze, his eyes steady. You must prove yourselves worthy. The jungle will test you, pushing you to your limits. If you succeed, it may grant you permission to stay. If you fail, he trailed off, leaving the rest unsaid. The team exchanged nervous glances, but there was no hesitation in their decision. They had come too far to turn back now. We'll do it, Alex declared, his voice firm. Whatever it takes. Kyle nodded approvingly. Then prepare yourselves. The trial begins at dawn. That night, sleep eluded them. The enormity of what lay ahead weighed heavily on their minds. Each member of the team retreated inward, reflecting on their journey thus far and the sacrifices they had made to reach this point. They knew the jungle would demand more from them. More courage, more resilience, and perhaps even more than they were willing to give. But as they gathered around the fire one last time, united by their shared determination, they found solace in the knowledge that they weren't alone. Whatever challenges awaited them, they would face them together. And with that thought, they welcomed the coming dawn, ready to embrace whatever fate the jungle had in store. Dawn broke over the jungle, casting a golden light through the dense canopy. The air was thick with anticipation as the team gathered at the base of the colossal tree-like structure. Its pulsating glow seemed brighter now, almost alive, as if it could sense their presence. Kyle stood nearby, his expression solemn. "The trial begins," he said simply, gesturing toward the massive roots that spiraled outward from the tree's base. "Follow the path. The jungle will guide you." Alex nodded, gripping his rifle tightly. "Let's move." The team stepped forward cautiously, their boots crunching softly against the moss-covered ground. As they approached the roots, a narrow opening appeared, a tunnel carved into the living wood, its edges lined with faintly glowing symbols. The air inside felt cool and damp, carrying a strange metallic scent. One by one, they entered the tunnel, their flashlights cutting through the darkness. The walls were smooth yet pulsated faintly, as if the tree itself were breathing. Strange noises echoed around them, whispers, clicks, and distant growls that sent shivers down their spines. "This place is creepy," Ryan muttered, glancing nervously over his shoulder. "Feels like we're walking into a trap." Emily reached out to touch the wall, her fingers brushing against the glowing symbols. "It's beautiful," she whispered, ignoring Ryan's unease. "Like nothing I've ever seen." Mia stayed close to the group, her medical kit slung over her shoulder. "Stay focused," she reminded them. "We don't know what's waiting for us." The tunnel twisted and turned, leading them deeper into the heart of the tree. Along the way, they encountered illusions designed to test their resolve. At one point, Alex saw visions of his family back home, calling out to him, begging him to return. He clenched his fists and forced himself to look away, reminding himself that it wasn't real. For Emily, the trial took a different form. She found herself surrounded by images of failure, her research rejected, her discoveries ignored. Tears welled up in her eyes, but she wiped them away, focusing instead on the beauty of the jungle and the knowledge she had gained. Ryan faced his own demons. He saw flashes of past mistakes, times when his arrogance had cost others dearly. Each memory hit him like a punch to the gut, making it hard to breathe. But as he stumbled forward, he realized something. These failures didn't define him. What mattered was how he chose to move forward. Mia's challenge was more personal. She saw herself standing alone in a hospital, unable to save her patients no matter how hard she tried. The weight of imagined loss threatened to crush her, but she remembered the lives she had saved, the people who relied on her strength and compassion. Drawing from that memory, she pushed onward. After what felt like hours, the tunnel opened into a vast chamber bathed in soft, golden light. In the center stood a pedestal, atop which rested a crystal orb glowing faintly. Surrounding the pedestal were holographic projections of the team members, each depicting moments of fear or doubt from their journey. Kyle appeared beside them, his voice calm but firm. "This is the final test. You must confront your fears, not just here, but within yourselves. Only then will the jungle accept you." Alex stepped forward first, approaching his projection. It showed him during the initial attack, frozen with indecision as the creature lunged at them. He remembered the guilt he had felt afterward, wondering if he could have done more to protect his team. Taking a deep breath, he spoke aloud. "I can't change the past, but I can learn from it. I won't let fear hold me back again." The projection flickered and vanished, replaced by a faint smile of approval. Next was Emily. Her projection depicted her hesitation before tasting the fruit pods, torn between curiosity and caution. "I was scared," she admitted, her voice steady. "But I didn't let fear stop me, and I won't let it stop me now." Her projection disappeared, leaving behind a sense of peace. Ryan hesitated before stepping up. His projection showed him arguing with Alex, his frustration boiling over. For a moment he looked away, ashamed. Then, meeting Kale's gaze, he said, "I've been selfish. I've doubted everyone, including myself. But I'm here now, and I'm ready to do my part." The image faded, leaving Ryan feeling lighter than he had in days. Finally, Mia approached her projection. It showed her tending to Ryan after he sustained an injury, her hands trembling as she worked. "I've always feared making mistakes," she confessed. "But I've learned that perfection isn't the goal. Doing my best is enough." Her projection dissolved, completing the circle. As the last image vanished, the crystal orb began to glow brighter, emitting a warm, soothing light. Kale smiled faintly. "You have proven yourselves worthy. The jungle acknowledges your strength and unity." A deep rumble filled the chamber as the walls shifted, revealing an exit bathed in sunlight. The team exchanged relieved smiles, their exhaustion overshadowed by a sense of accomplishment. Stepping outside, they found themselves in a clearing surrounded by towering trees. The air felt cleaner, fresher, as if the jungle itself had welcomed them. Kale joined them, his expression serene. "You are no longer outsiders," he said. "The jungle has accepted you. But remember, this acceptance comes with responsibility. You must continue to respect its balance." Alex nodded, his voice filled with gratitude. "Thank you, Kyle. We'll honor your teachings." Kyle inclined his head slightly. "Then my task is done. Go now, and may your journey bring wisdom to those who follow." With that, Kale turned and disappeared into the jungle, leaving the team alone in the clearing. They stood there for a moment, taking in the beauty of their surroundings. The jungle no longer felt hostile. It felt alive, vibrant, and full of possibilities. As they made their way back to camp, the team reflected on everything they had endured. They had faced unimaginable dangers, confronted their deepest fears, and emerged stronger because of it. The jungle had tested them in ways they never could have anticipated, but it had also taught them invaluable lessons about resilience, adaptability, and trust. When they reached the campsite, they set to work repairing any remaining damage and organizing their supplies. For the first time since arriving, they felt truly secure. The jungle was still unpredictable, but they now understood its rhythms and respected its power. That night, as they sat around the fire, Alex spoke softly. "We did it. Against all odds, we survived, and not just survived, but thrived. That's something worth celebrating." Emily smiled, leaning back against a log. "And we learned so much. Imagine what we can do with this knowledge." Ryan chuckled, shaking his head. "If someone had told me a week ago that I'd be sitting here talking about how awesome a jungle planet is, I would have laughed in their face." Mia grinned, passing around a ration pack. "Well, here we are. Proof that humans really can adapt to anything." They laughed together, the sound echoing through the jungle. Above them, the stars peeked faintly through the canopy, a reminder of the vast universe beyond Zarathia. Yet for now, this alien world felt like home. As the fire crackled softly, casting flickering shadows across their faces, the team allowed themselves a rare moment of peace. They had faced the ultimate test and emerged victorious. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they knew they could handle them as long as they faced them together. In the distance, the jungle whispered its secrets, promising both wonder and peril. But for the first time, the team listened not with fear, but with hope. The days that followed the trial were quieter, almost peaceful. The jungle seemed to acknowledge the team's newfound understanding, allowing them a brief respite from its usual chaos. Birds sang in the distance, their melodies blending with the rustle of leaves and the soft hum of insects. It was as if Zarathia had finally accepted them, not as invaders, but as guests. Alex spent his mornings mapping the area, sketching the terrain and marking safe zones based on Kale's teachings. He worked meticulously, knowing that every detail could mean the difference between life and death for future explorers. Emily joined him often, pointing out edible plants and noting the behavior of local creatures. Her excitement was contagious. and Alex found himself smiling more than he had since they arrived. Ryan focused on maintaining their equipment, ensuring everything was in working order. He had grown quieter since the trial, his earlier sarcasm replaced by a thoughtful determination. Occasionally he would pause to watch the jungle, his expression unreadable. Mia noticed the change and approached him one afternoon while he was repairing a sensor. "You've been different lately," she said gently, sitting beside him. "What's going on?" Ryan hesitated before answering. "I guess I'm just thinking about what we've been through, what we've learned." Mia nodded, encouraging him to continue. "I used to think survival was about being stronger, faster, better than whatever's coming at you," he admitted. "But now I see it's not like that at all. It's about working together, adapting, finding balance. And honestly, that scares me more than anything else here." Mia smiled softly. "It's okay to be scared. Growth always starts with fear. But look how far you've come." Ryan glanced at her, his lips curving into a faint smile. "Yeah, maybe you're right." As the team settled into their routine, they began documenting their experiences in detail. Alex insisted on creating a comprehensive report, not just for their mission leaders back home, but for anyone who might follow in their footsteps. They recorded everything: the dangers they faced, the strategies that worked, and the lessons they learned from Kale and the jungle itself. One evening, as they gathered around the fire, Emily suggested adding personal reflections to the report. "We should include how this place changed us," she said. "Not just physically, but emotionally. People need to know what it feels like to live here." Alex agreed, handing out notebooks to everyone. "Write down your thoughts. We'll add them to the final document." That night, under the glow of bioluminescent flowers, each member of the team wrote candidly about their journey. Alex spoke of leadership and responsibility, describing the weight of making decisions that affected not only his own life, but the lives of those around him. Emily wrote passionately about discovery and wonder, capturing the thrill of uncovering secrets hidden within the jungle. Ryan reflected on humility and trust, acknowledging how his initial skepticism had given way to reliance on his teammates. Mia focused on resilience and compassion, emphasizing the importance of caring for others even in the face of overwhelming odds. When they shared their entries the next morning, there wasn't a dry eye among them. Their words painted a vivid picture of struggle and triumph, fear and hope. For the first time, they truly understood the depth of what they had accomplished, not just surviving Zorathia, but thriving despite its challenges. A week later, the team received a message from their ship's automated system. Their scheduled pickup was approaching, giving them only 3 days to prepare for departure. The news was bittersweet. On one hand, they were eager to return home and share their discoveries. On the other, leaving Zorathia felt like saying goodbye to a part of themselves. "We can't stay forever," Alex reminded the group during their final campfire gathering, "but we can leave something behind." Together, they decided to create markers, simple stone carvings etched with symbols and instructions for future visitors. Using tools provided by Kyle, they crafted messages explaining how to navigate the jungle safely, identify resources, and avoid unnecessary conflict. Each marker included a note of gratitude to the jungle itself, acknowledging its power and intelligence. On their last day, they ventured deep into the jungle one final time to place the markers. As they worked, Emily paused to collect a few additional samples, tears streaming down her face as she realized this would be her last chance to study the alien flora. Ryan helped her without comment, his usual gruffness softened by shared understanding. When the task was complete, they returned to the clearing where they had first encountered Kale. The massive tree-like structure stood tall in the distance, its golden light pulsating faintly. Though Kale didn't reappear, the team felt his presence, a silent reminder of the bond they had formed with his people and the jungle itself. The morning of their departure dawned bright and clear. The team packed their gear carefully, ensuring nothing was left behind except the markers and their footprints. As they boarded the ship, they took one last look at Zorathia, committing its beauty and mystery to memory. Once inside, Alex initiated, The launch sequence, his hands steady on the controls. The engines roared to life, lifting them slowly off the ground. Below, the jungle stretched endlessly, its vibrant colors fading into a blur as they ascended higher into the atmosphere. No, one spoke during the flight. Each member of the team was lost in thought, replaying moments from their journey. The fears they had overcome, the bonds they had forged, and the lessons they had learned. When the planet finally disappeared from view, replaced by the vast expanse of space, Alex broke the silence. "We did it," he said simply, his voice filled with quiet pride. "We survived Zorathia." Emily leaned back in her seat, closing her eyes. "And we proved that humans aren't just survivors. We're adapters, innovators, explorers." Ryan smirked, though there was no malice in it. Yeah. Let's not get too poetic, but yeah, we made it." Mia chuckled, shaking her head. "Let's not forget why we came here, to learn. And boy, did we learn." As the ship continued its journey back to Earth, the team began compiling their report. Weaving together data, observations, and personal reflections, they knew their story would inspire others, not just to explore new worlds, but to approach them with respect and humility. By the time they reached home, the report was complete. It detailed everything they had experienced, offering insights and advice for future missions. More importantly, it conveyed a powerful message. Survival isn't just about enduring hardships. It's about embracing change, fostering unity, and finding harmony with the unknown. When asked in interviews about their greatest takeaway from Zorathia, Alex summed it up perfectly. "We went there thinking we'd conquer a hostile environment. Instead, we learned to coexist with it. And in doing so, we discovered something remarkable, not just about the jungle, but about ourselves." Their story became legendary, inspiring generations of explorers to venture beyond Earth's boundaries. But for Alex, Emily, Ryan, and Mia, the true reward lay not in fame or recognition, but in the knowledge that they had faced the impossible and emerged stronger because of it. As they parted ways upon returning to Earth, each carried a piece of Zorathia with them, a reminder of the resilience, adaptability, and courage that defined humanity. And though they never saw the jungle planet again, its lessons stayed with them, guiding their choices and shaping their lives. For the first time in history, humans had proven that survival wasn't just possible, it was transformative. And in the end, that was the greatest victory of all.